one in time. This is an actual
happen. Graced up there. Oh, dicey.
Oh my God, J-Mo, the champion of this one.
Oh, Asadai! He gets the triple off the rocket at the fourth.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Valorant Champions Tour, dealing with the second closed qualifiers here in the Challengers event. My host Shift, with me Avril, and we have got some matchups here for day number 1 on the second stream. But before we get there, we kind of need to break down how things are going with this format. So Kev, I just gotta know, how you doing over there, man? I know it's really early in the morning for you probably still, but I know that you're wide awake ready for some more Valorant action.
It is nothing I'd rather wake up for in the morning. I gotta tell you, Shift, some excellent Valorant we got coming up for you guys today as well in Challenges number 2 over here. And in terms of, the teams that we've lined up, top 8 teams for sure. I mean, if you want to talk about how we even got here, look over towards Challenge 1, look over towards Open Qualifiers as well. TSM notably dropping out. 100 Thieves, though, they do make it this time around. So as far as Challenges 2 is looking, yeah, I'm pretty sure we have pretty much the top 8 teams here. Again, you might think that TSM missing out is probably the main card that is not going to be in the deck today, but aside from that, all the other teams looking pretty hot.
It's definitely a loaded deck, without question. But there's a lot in the line, because for all 8 of these squads, there is the first chance at getting up to the Masters event. You can qualify for that if you finish top 4. All 8 teams will still have a second chance at the least, because there is still a Challengers 3 to go through. But I'm sure a lot of that might sound a bit confusing. So to help break down some of the format for the VCT, Riv has put together this wonderful video to kind of help explain it for you.
Welcome to the Valorant Champions Tour, a year-long tournament circuit featuring the best players and teams from all over the world, culminating in a global championship event, Valorant Champions. Each stage begins with Challengers, where teams compete in regional tournaments for a place at Masters. Teams who compete in Masters events will earn points that help them qualify for Champions. And Champions is where the best teams from around the world compete on a global stage, where the art of greatness is on full display. And one team will be crowned 2021 Valorant Champions.
So much on the line, and we're just in the early stages. It feels weird to say that, considering that it is still the beginning of 2021. We already have a full year worth of competitive Valorant esports to go through here, Avril. But today's schedule is absolutely lights out. Between not only the mainstream, but also here on Nerd Street Gamers 2, the matchups, there are storylines abound. So hopefully you like hearing about them, because, well, we had a chance to cast over some of these teams when we were doing the first series of the Challengers, and both of the matches that we have on the schedule for today are actually rematches from that first Challengers event.
Which is not a surprise here if you look over towards the top 8 as well, Alan. I think, there's a lot of the same teams that we will be seeing. Obviously, Challengers 1, you're the top 4 qualified directly into Challengers 2 main event. This time around, like you mentioned earlier, it's about Masters. We're nearly there now, pretty close. One more Challengers event, and we're straight into Masters. Starting out, it's going to be the upper quarters, lower bracket round 1 as well. Double elimination bracket, as you'd expect. Yeah, best of 3 the entire way. And a, best of 5 over towards the grand finals for that first seed. So a lot to play for overall, and most importantly, top 4 is the target for all teams. Winning is going to be great. There's a prize pool, but the main thing we want here is to see who makes Masters. Top 4 making Masters. The other 4 still get to go to Challengers, and then only 4 more spots remaining in Challengers number 3 after that.
I mean, the competition has been completely electrified, really, since we got kind of through the Ignition series in North America. We've seen surprises every single major tournament that we've had a chance to kind of spectate through the North American Valorant esports scene. And let's be honest, I think we could probably expect some more shocks when it comes down to what happens in the next couple of days. But taking a look as far as what we have first on the table, I'm sure a lot of you saw it when the countdown was going live. It's Team XSET going up against Team Envy. This is a rematch, Kev, and we had a chance to watch over these two teams play during Challengers 1 in that main event. But let's be honest, this XSET team, you were mentioning a couple weeks ago that you're really hot on this team, and I would be willing to wager that they have not let you down when it comes to that specific thought process.
And let's take a look at how they performed even in the last challenges as well. In Challenges 1, they lost to Sentinels 0-2, but, you know, aside from that, they actually beat Envy 2-1 the last time they met in the lower round 2. This Envy versus XSET sort of matchup here, I'm starting to look at as a bit of a classic in the NA region. Some of our best teams, you have XSET being, you know, the classic phrase here to describe XSET would be the XSET upset, but how many times can you really say that they're upsetting teams before you start to really admit, hey, maybe they are just one of the top teams now. Maybe they are deserving of the top 8. They've been here consistently enough times. They beat enough other teams that you would consider a top team. That realistically speaking now, every single team needs to see XSET as a major threat on the table, or certainly I do.
And just looking at that roster of Pierre, Thwifo, Aaron, BCJ, and we did, again, that roster of 5 was able to take down Envy in the lower bracket of the first Challenger Series, which ended Envy's run. They had to not just finish top 6, but they actually had to go through the open qualifiers once more here for Challengers 2. Mummy, FNS, Caboose, Crashies, and Food, the stapled and fabled roster that we've kind of come to know and love. At least for some, maybe not love for others, because let's be honest, they went on a tear there for a while during the first Strike series that I'm sure a lot of the top teams were not exactly thrilled about. But, you know, they've been in a weird position over the last couple of weeks.
Sure.
In Challengers 1, they finished second of the open qualifiers. Hopes were really high for them going into the first official Challengers main event, but they lost to Luminosity in the upper bracket, not able to take a single map from Luminosity, which was one of the big surprises from Challengers 1, I think, overall. And then, like we had just previously mentioned, they saw their run cut short by this XSET squad that, again, I think for a lot of the audience out there would have said, that's a pretty big surprise. So, going through their open qualifier run here in Stage 2, they were able to cleanly do it. They didn't drop a single map, and they weren't even close to dropping a single map while they were making their run through the open qualifiers. So you're hoping that you're able to take that success from a week ago, turn it into immediate success here versus XSET in your winners round 1 matchup.
Yeah, I mean, the only caveat I'll give there is the fact that I think if you look towards the open bracket, the open qualifier matchups there as well, I would argue Envy had a bit of an easier run. Now, that's not to say I'm not going to discount their ability to get back into the main event here for Challenges 2, but if you start to, you know, go back to Challenges 1 a little bit more as well, you now have to start looking at teams like XSET, Luminosity, and Immortals as the more, you know, maybe before Challenges, maybe before VCT, these were considered up-and-coming teams. Now that we're in 2021, now that we're into the real competitive calendar for VCT, heading towards Masters, heading eventually towards Champions at the end of the year here, Immortals looking fantastic, Luminosity and XSET all looking fantastic, and teams like Envy kind of falling behind. You have to remember the 2-0 defeat they suffered against Luminosity, like you mentioned, the upper semifinals for Challenges 1. Go back to the XSET versus Envy matchup as well in Challenges 1. Another match where you would have said, hey, maybe XSET upset Envy, but at what stage do teams beating Envy no longer count as an upset? Certainly when they go up against teams like Luminosity and XSET, I no longer count those as XSET upsets anymore. Now you're at a sort of stage where this is the perfect storm for a team like XSET to continue their potentially dominance through the scene. I mean, they made top 4 last time, which was pretty darn good. Now
really
it's
good.
about looking and potentially preying on a potentially weakened Envy, and Envy that has struggled against other top 8 teams. Won't have any issues against teams like Space Station, won't have issues against teams like Andbox, unfortunately for Andbox's sake, but for Envy, going up against the likes of Luminosity, XSET, and higher, so far they haven't looked that great against those types of teams.
Well, this is going to be a very interesting map set, I think, overall, as we take a look to see what this best of 3 will kind of contain when it comes to the maps. Mostly because Envy gets to start on what has been their bread and butter. And I'm not just saying that they found a piece of bread and then buttered it. They've baked the bread and churned the butter. It's going to be split coming up first in... again, this has been, I would say, one of the strong staples of what Envy has done in their history as a full-on roster, including some very dominating wins, not just through their open qualifier win, but that's actually where they beat XSET in that lower matchup at 13-5. Very convincing. They were flawless on the defensive side in the second half, and that's where I think if you're XSET, just kind of taking the other side of the coin, you have to be better. You've got to be good offensively if you want to have a chance at beating Envy on one of their best maps, without question.
Now, this is really interesting because these are the exact same bands we saw last time in terms of what these two teams play. We will be playing the same maps again, like you mentioned, split heavily favored for Envy, something we expect that Envy should pick up here. If Envy fail to win this split, I think the chances of winning the entire series diminishes greatly. This would be a very heavily favored matchup for XSET. If they can actually take their split, we'll be looking towards the Weeded Viper once more, one of his signature picks for that particular map to maybe carry XSET through. Now, looking over towards the other particular maps as well, Close Bind that we saw last time, Close Ascent last time, both could have potentially have gone either way, but you do, Exit kind of have that small amount of edge that they still carry with them. They have that extra win and momentum as well. They got to requalify back into challenges too, just via the fact that they made top 4. So Envy, a little bit more work that they had to do for this one. On top of this as well, they have been banning Haven a lot. They kind of, Envy, I think at one stage were banning Icebox is kind of like their primary ban. Now they've kind of moved on to Haven, so Envy do not want to play Haven anymore. Icebox gets to be banned away from Exit, even though I think they're one of the few teams that could actually, run some interesting stuff on Icebox. They're going to take that one away. So what I'm really interested in is just seeing the run back of the entire 3 maps again, obviously in a different order now. And again, it comes down to Envy having that initial great start, starting strong on Split, getting that Split victory down, then cleaning up either Bind or Ascent for that 2-0 or potentially 2-1.
Yeah, you got to go back to that bind as well, just to talk on the history between these two squads. It did go to overtime, and it was largely just a defensive showcase between both the teams. Now, that was a bit surprising, I think, overall, because up until that point, Envy had been a very successful offensive team on the map, but I feel like they maybe recognized some of their potential weaknesses on the map overall, because during the open qualifiers, we'll talk about it more when we get there, they played bind almost every single best-of-3 set that they found themselves in, save the matchup versus Renegades. But that's a conversation for maybe about an hour and a half from now. We got to get into Split here, Avril. And again, we kind of come to know Weeded playing on the Viper. But one of the big talking points that we said last time that really did pay the difference maker was, can he find success with the character? Because at times he looks great on the agent, but when he doesn't play well, XSET typically starts to fail. So that's kind of where at least my lens is guided towards initially, is will Weeded be able to find the same success that the team is hoping for? Because Envy's bringing out some different strategies as well as far as composition. They have gone to playing over the sky when it comes to Split lately, which has not been, as I would say, unfamiliar through the last couple of months, but it's definitely something a bit unique compared to what XSET brings to the table.
And specifically talking about Sky here, Crashy's be the one piloting that character today, and there it is straight away. Crashy's locks her in. So that's going to be Envy, I think, running back the same composition they're used to playing on Split, minus the fact that previously we did see Food come out on the Sage, so they will be giving away the Sage. Now, that Sage has been taken up by Aaron. I do want to talk about Aaron as well. Part of the reason why Weeded is a big factor on Split is because their other duelist player, typically on Aaron, he's been playing a lot of Killjoy on this map. That's not going to be the case now. Thwyfo was playing Breach on Split. Thwyfo is not going to be moving back towards the Sentinel that we know him for over onto the Cypher. So a little bit more of a standard composition coming through from Exit. They're not making as many changes. They're not putting Aaron on something too different in terms of playing a Sentinel. Yes, I know technically Sage is listed as a Sentinel, but when you consider what position in your team on a pro team typically does play a Sage, a lot of duelist players actually end up picking up that Sage, depending on the team, obviously. But in this case, it's going to be true. It's going to be Aaron looking towards that Sage. Weeded, as we expected on the Viper. Weeded, a big character there. And the fact that Aaron moves away from a duelist in general, Piro are going to be staying on the Jet, means Weeded ends up being the kind of player that picks up a lot more of the frags, as Aaron takes a bit more of a backseat in the support role.
Now, this is something that's new to us, because last time, like you mentioned, when we cast it over this XSET versus Envy matchup on Split, the Sage was in the mix. But, to be fair, during this next set of open qualifiers, when Envy has had a chance to play this map twice, they have been running this race. So this is a precognitive decision as far as what we want to bring to the table. And I think both of us are probably glad to see that the Killjoy's not in the mix, because let's be honest, it was not all that successful of a pick for them. You expressed some pretty steep concerns about it, and well, those concerns kind of came to the forefront pretty quickly in this first matchup. Again, offensively, just nothing going right for XSET in the last time these two teams played. So what will be the change? It looks like it's mostly going to start with the agent conversation first, but Envy with the offense look to be stacking right through the middle of the map as they try to hit up towards potentially vents. But let's be honest, we know they love to get the high ground control, and likely the focus will be the top side over towards this B site.
Massive paranoia coming on through as well. Be a clean up 1 versus 1. A lot of kills going both sides though here, Chef. So the paranoia did swing in, coming through from Exit to BCJ. Turns into 2v2 now. This will just be Thwyfo, the last man standing for Exit. Low HP is Caboose. Maybe just the one shot away. Thwyfo goes at the ready. And we'll have to find out where the last 2 members of Envy are at the moment. They know nothing is being made. That has been walled up. Could be vents, so at this point in time, Thwyfo has no idea if Envy have actually rotated towards a camera, is going to check so far. No one in heaven. And Thwyfo is getting a bit cold feet. Not too sure what's happening on the map.
It's a weird situation, because you would feel like with the numbers, Envy would get a little bit more aggressive. They are going to start to make their play. Thwyfo is in a great position. One shot will be all it takes to take down Caboose. Does he recognize the second challenger? Well, now he sure will. As the spy cam comes out, little back and forth affair here, but it's FNS to find the kill, and that will lead towards Envy's pistol round win.
Like a massive roll over towards the mid side as well. Expected BCJ's paranoia to be able to give XSET a massive advantage, but it doesn't end up being the case. You saw how many trades end up going both ways. Now, we talk about current meta in Valorant, especially over towards NA. A lot of teams on their second round, if they do lose the pistol, end up moving towards a bit of a force. Now, it doesn't happen as often on the defense, but you do see over towards the Envy side of things, they're taking no chances here. Not even actually going towards Spectres, going straight towards Stinger into Armor. I don't think they plunged. They couldn't quite get the extra money from that one. Otherwise, you might have actually been able to see something along the lines of Spectres. We are on the previous patch, by the way, so Stingers have not been nerfed here, still at full power.
Food aggressive, right with the blast pack, try to get it right onto A. XSET have stacked the middle of the map defensively here again with their weakened economies. This will lead to a free plant for Caboose, and largely just kind of asking the question for how is this retake going to come through. I imagine they're most likely going to just stack together and try to stampede from one angle or the other, but the defensive now setup for Envy is pretty strong. 3 players on the site, 2 lingering over safely towards A ramps, and that will be first blood. FNS up top, able to find himself a couple, looking for a third, but it's BCJ to find even trades. So now an opportunity for a couple of weapons to get picked up. Although, again, how do you get into the site is still the problem here for XSET, and BCJ will likely have to just take this weapon and likely try to back away, but Crashies will not allow him the opportunity, and Envy takes the expected second round.
I think for XSET as well, they did their best in terms of where they could isolate kills, go towards ramp, find themselves a couple of picks, but, you know, one of them, it does end up coming through from the fact that Finesse had to reload, pick an opportunity to maybe pick up a couple of guns there. Crashies finds the timing. Didn't expect too much to come through from XSET there. Had the full retake via pistols, plus Aaron coming through on the shorty. Not gonna really have the best of chances. 5 rifles coming into round number 3. No force, obviously, for XSET on that second round. So anti-eco fairly successful. They did drop 2 members, but they get to keep the rest over here. Should be a rush coming through from Envy now. Stacking 4 over towards A. Oh, actually, they'll think about this one. They'll just cage it early and maybe take control over towards ramp.
Scout destroyed.
Trailblazer able to kind of check out what's happening over towards A ramp. Not going to get too much information. And Envy are still just kind of flirting with the idea of putting pressure on A, but like you had mentioned, the spike is still lingering in the middle of the map. But to be fair, XSET have not been baited by this. They're holding their positions pretty strongly. I imagine largely because they know they've got a weapon advantage here.
Wall has come down over towards Big Heaven as well. And as that happens, Aaron about shifting off over towards A. I mean, we have seen A pressure. They haven't received a lot of information over towards B. Maybe a little bit surprised they didn't actually start one in vents. If you're going to wall off over towards B Heaven, typically, okay, you would leave Weeded over towards B as an anchor. You'd have one more player there, probably Aaron. I'd probably move BCJ over to vents or at least in Heaven. This stage in the game, MV got to be patient about this one. Wall has been cleared. They have mid control and are looking for options for potentially a B split as you see the rest of MV now grouping over towards B main.
Tall task coming here for Aaron. How do you want to use your utility? So the orb will come down first. Paranoia is also there, but there will not be a peak for any kills. So the hit for Envy is going to be stalled up top, but as it gets paused for a moment, there are 2 players down low. Aaron good for 1. Sees the dash across. Not going to find an opportunity to find food, though, and it will go 2 for 1 of the exchange, favoring Envy's offense. Spike going to be planted, and defensively now for XSET, it's going to be down to, again, the question of the retake. 3 players stacked up top. Food's able to find the first, and FNS gets the second as he's able to just lurk right underneath this rope. Dwifo going to get 1, but not a second in the exchange, so Food will take 3 in the round, and Envy will go up 3-0.
Yeah, all they had to do is beat the timing of the slow, wait for it to go away, wait for the wall to go away as well, smoke off a couple of the key angles. XSET and Envy find themselves a couple of decent frags to open up B with. They end up having a pretty decent timing late round as well over through onto B. You can see that for the rest of XSET, a couple of members late over towards A didn't have a lot of info in terms of what Envy were doing. A lot of early A pressure that gets translated over to B and XSET slow to be able to respond. Now going into the half buys for round number 4 here, looking over towards, the 1 Bucky, a couple of upgraded pistols, 2 SMGs, and a lot of rifles now from Envy. For free as well as we start to look towards alt timings. Everyone's kind of close. You got a lot of 6 out of 7s on Envy, and now Food has the showstopper available.
Food, I mean, again, just talking about his transition to be onto the Rays. This is new compared to the last instance of Challengers, and it's finding him a lot of success. Paranoia going to be met with some paint shells. Food able to find another 3 kills in the round. He does drop those, so XSET have turned things into a 2v3. Weeded's in a pretty decent position to maybe find some value out of the shorty, but no, Mummy responds with just the nick of time, leaving things just down to BCJ in a 1v3, and he is stuck in elbow. Mummy finds the easy follow-up. That'll be 4 rounds for Envy, and Showstopper, like you mentioned, already ready to go. Food has taken over this game largely so far in the first 4.
This is where we need to see XSET wake up. They need to break the silence now. A couple of their members also getting really close to ultimates. In fact, the whole team, 1 or 2 away. Weeded's 2 away as well. Not going to be full armor for Aaron just yet, but everything seems to be online here. This has to be the round that XSET can turn things around. Otherwise, this will be the one round where they need to start really considering the save. Having the stage difference here as well means the resurrection can come in for the 6v5, but otherwise, holding onto the guns and economy is going to be the most important thing. If they go 5 in a row down, that's going to be really awkward, but getting food early is going to be a great start.
That was a Blast Pack Showstopper combination that was looking for first blood, and it was an opportunity, but dealt with beautifully from XSET. But Caboose, he'll find 2 by getting onto the site by way of from the shadows. So now he can challenge over towards screens, find himself a 3rd kill. Backs away with the shrouded step. Spike gonna make its way on. It's just gonna be down to 2. Weeded and Twifo, the last 2 XSET members, again forced to make a retake occur, and they're both double stacked over towards the backside of screens, and now Weeded has to back away. You cannot lose this weapon. Maybe you can play for an exit kill or 2, but this is a very trepidatious situation to find yourself, and you don't want to go down 0-5.
05 is unfortunately going to find them one way or another. At least Weeder can get a 1v3 with limited time remaining, limited utility remaining as well. I think he knows it. At this stage, Viper retake. I mean, he's got the 1 Snake Might. Cloud Smoke is available also. But yeah, I mean, writing's on the wall here. It's far too much. You have no economy left. And Envy very quickly, massive plays from Caboose, like you mentioned, from the shadows, right to the back of the site, collecting 3 kills this round. Might even go for the chase here. They are going to go for this indeed. Might be a bit of a timing here. Weeded, he's going to survive. Can he find maybe a final kill? Option screen likely will be able to get him out safely, so they will have at least 1 hero rifle going into round 6.
They've got 4 ultimates to play with as well. It's just, you're going to be popping the Bladestorm here. I think the real question is, at what point do you want to commit the resurrection? As this was the opening replay attempt there, just kind of watching Food blast pack forward with the showstopper, but XSET was very far defensively pushed forward, allowing him a chance to take that off the table immediately, but okay.
Alan?
So, yep.
Important round here. B aggression coming through. BCJ setting up for Paranoia, expecting a big dash through. A little bit bad on the timing here. Pura doesn't find a lot to open up with the toxin screen to maybe lock people out, and that's going to be a decent chunk of util used by BCJ and the rest of his squad early on. Exit, no conversion on any kills. A couple of pings coming on through as well, and Envy now leaving B entirely. Even Exit high and dry again. They have the 1 hero rifle. Weeded is carrying that one over towards A, and it's going to have to be the 1 member Exit to convert the kills properly to maybe give some more guns over to Exit. Otherwise, I'm sensing the 6-0 start.
You're going to rotate back. Looking to see if they can find a way to go back over towards this B site. It's going to take a little bit of time, though. Again, with that opening Paranoia dash that you were talking about, they will have to clear out this B garage before they really commit forward. Pure will be sitting on the side, and again, it's just Aaron with him up top, and the weaponry, like you mentioned, not incredible, so someone's going to have to pop off between one of the 2 of them, in my mind.
And maybe an aggressive angle here as well. I mean, no one's playing close, tucked in over towards B, and this is where the spike is heading towards now. It'll come through from Aaron first up, and that's going to be the res as well. If Aaron goes down, this could be a lot of advantage on the round for Exit. Gone straight away, 5v4, and the hit comes through.
Shell's trying to get there to try to stall. This Food is up top, able to find a nice headshot onto 1. Needs the reload. Spike can be planted. 13 seconds of the clock. Plenty of time to get this down. Caboose successfully gets the spiked in. Wifo, though, finds an elimination. 2v2 go. And this is a retake that is not going to need to clear a lot of space because you're already out of the site. BCJ, first one forward. Clears the long angle, but Caboose's timing is incredible. Gets to the backside of the dark cover, knows he just has to watch over towards the backside of the pillar. Now he's going to win the first elimination, not get the second necessarily. Wifo was able to go 1 for 1, but needed to go 1v2. Will not come out in 6, so is indeed the case, and still a lot of problematic instances here for XSET overall.
Another 3K round for Caboose there as well. The opening 1v1 where we do see the last 2 versus 2 situation. Caboose getting that kill, then converting onto the last for the 3rd kill in general in total. Plus the plant. 6-0 now is an incredible start for Envy, and that's putting it lightly. The Opening flash and dash not successful for XSET. Aaron checking for info, gets the bad news, losing the resurrection. You talk about when the res is going to come through. Well, certainly not that last round. I think that last round would have been great as well. 3v2 would have been very good for XSET, especially considering they did pick up some guns towards the end. Now that they do have guns, again, another important round. Here comes food.
First one forward, we did deals with it. The trade does come into the mix, though, as Mummy with the Bladestorm finds the immediate response. 4v4, Spike again will go down quickly, and XSET, their retake has been very poorly managed so far. That has to change. You need to take this round away. And they're in a really problematic position. Spycam will see Mummy, but he deals with that without much cause for a concern. Now it's down to Aaron. He tries to move forward. BCJ was checking things out from the shadows. Not going to really be able to see too much. Crashes, finds first blood. Dwipo also drops. And now the last two members for XSET are in the back corner. And I think my reaction is the same as yours, your Avril. Likely going to be done and dusted, and indeed the case. 7-0 up is Envy.
Nowhere to get onto site there, nowhere to get the free resurrection. I say free, they would have had to, actually fight for site control there. The one res was on B itself, so another round where XSET, unfortunately, worse still than their, by a round of, round 5, where they at least kept one rifle alive here. The best they can do now is going to be Bulldog for Weeded. This is going to be an opening Viper's Pit. He's not over onto mid. Typically, you would see Weeded start mid. He would put down the Viper's Pit over there. We've also seen him start over towards A, put the Viper's Pit down. I mean, there's a chance he just puts it down to B, probably lower value than the other plays. Just do need to see XSET do some real damage, though. No flash and dash just yet, but perhaps looking over towards A, though. They are very close.
What point do you push through this and try to find these kills? Trap wire comes down. Going to be one elimination, looking for another. No, BCJ not going to be good for it. And another very early number situation for Envy in this 4v3.
Seeker's out in play as well, so they've confirmed that the rest of the defenders have rotated in. Equipment value not good, though, so for Envy, if they just play the long range duels here, if they play for their numbers, should be fairly simple. Crash, he's made his way all the way to backside, over into screens as the rotation over to B. Bruce will clear sight, know that B is completely empty, and at this point in time, Crash just needs to look for a timing. Has Weeded around the corner here. Worst case scenario would be that Crashies does drop the rifle over, would allow XSET the possibility to get a play in 4v3 because the res is still in there. So this could be a very important 1v1. You do also see, by the way, Mummy heading over towards Vince. They actually just want to lock up XSET before they even have a chance to rotate.
If they even want to rotate, I mean, there doesn't seem to be much sense of urgency here. It will be, we did the first one down. He's going to toggle these ropes. Does find elimination. Mummy dropped. That'll be an upgrade of the weapon up from a Bulldog to a Phantom. But again, the problem is the numbers, and beyond that, also the time. And it looks like Aaron has not really fully committed to getting out of A Tower. So this will be a forfeit of the round here for XSET in favor of saving the weapons.
Not great weapons to save, though. I mean, they will be able to pick up something on the ground. There is that one weapon dropped a little bit early on towards A. Opening kill coming through from XSET as the spike does explode. Us two members make it out alive. And again, this is the sort of situation where if they maybe killed Crashies, if we did manage to get that kill, there is into a 4v3. I can see the retake in play. But for Envy now, domination. 8-0. Pura picking up the operator for this next round, number 9. And, well, we've already kind of written off the first half, haven't we, for this initial defense.
Yeah.
Only 4 possible now. 4 rounds possible for XSET. And were they to get those 4 rounds, they would still have a great... Oh, I say great. They would have a possibility, maybe not a great one, but they would have a possibility of coming into the second half. But at this rate, we did expect Envy to clean up Split pretty heavily, and that seems to be the case for sure.
It's just, no matter what way you try to slice this pie for XSET, it's not going to come out tasting all that great. They only win 28% of their offensive rounds. I mean, granted, it's a sample size of 3, and it's not stat padded by playing any open qual teams. These are versus largely top 12 teams through their run, not just in the close calls from Challengers 1, but I mean, it's just, this is not good enough for XSET. You cannot be allowing on the favored side for the map a team like Envy to take 8 rounds and go get first blood here. They will be able to resurrect it, but again, it's a very expensive ultimate to be using so early on in the round.
Well, I mean, it's the one they've been holding on to for 8 rounds in a row nearly. Well, probably more like 6 to be fair. So this is the expected value. A lot of info was gained over towards A. They know the operator's in play now. Importantly, if you did see over towards B, B main control gained by Envy as well. That actually gave food a showstopper ultimate as they managed to be able to collect that orb. Now, do we challenge versus Pura again? Yeah, we do. And that's going to be maybe a potential mistake coming through from Envy as they give that kill away. And now the 5v4 found by XSET, maybe for the first time so far in this half. And can XSET actually confirm a bit more? Weeded now knows there's a lot of pressure potentially coming through on B main as well. So this is it. XSET 2 up.
Boost. Big roll here. Really needed to find maybe not just one, but also a second. BCJ, Aaron able to find more eliminations. It's just down to Mummy with the operator. Not going to get the flick shot. BCJ puts him down, and XSET finally got on the board. But even still, I mean, you mentioned it in the middle of the round. A 4-8 is the best potential possibility for them.
Yeah.
And we've already talked about the fact that their offense has not been good on this map. Not just when it comes to what's happened so far in the VCT, but even during the first Strike series, their offense was not incredible on this map in the 10 times that they played it. So something's...
The something that's changed, it's for me, is actually the Raze pick coming on through, and
I agree with you.
It's actually a pretty massive pick because Raze is huge on this map, and something that, for one, XSET aren't going to be running, because they are running the double smokes here between Weeded on the Viper and BCJ on the Omen. And here comes that Viper split. Have been waiting for that one for a while. Boombot, the early scouting. I think Envy at this stage in time are just going to give that position up. They don't have to be playing for B main, which is why they're double stacking over towards B heaven. You also see the fact that FIFO is up into vent, so they're expecting mid pressure. A has been locked up solo by Puro at this stage versus the Lurker Finesse, and it is going to be Envy. Big presence over towards mid, and a similar presence from XSET to follow as well.
And I think the big thing about this Raze pickup that I really enjoy, especially when you're playing up against a team like XSET that you know is going to bring a Viper, the best counter in my mind in the game to a Viper's pit is a Boombot and a Pain Shells combination. You can clear it all out relatively freely. So it'll be a Trailblazer first. That'll try to scout out where exactly the Viper is positioned. Showstopper going to come through. Food's just going to blindly use that. And oh my goodness, the Snake Bite plus the Slow Orb was... heavy-handed, would you would say. Food has to back away, wait for the decay to fade off, and now with 35 seconds, Envy's going to make the rotation to the middle of the map. BCJ waiting for it with the Paranoia. That'll be a really nice play, but again, the wall in the position will not really allow him to follow up off of it, trusting that Swiper will find a kill. He does, but now again, the XSET defense is shorthanded at A.
It comes down to Puro. Puro can stop the spike plant. This will be the round over for sure. Misses the required shot. Not going to be what XSET are looking for here. 13 seconds remaining. The plant should come through any moment now. Still a 4v4 into play. Late rotations coming through from the rest of the squad. Viper's pit obviously gone as Weeded makes a long rotation all the way back over towards ramp and over onto vents. Will be the rest of the XSET squad trying to make their way into heaven. Finesse will be waiting around the corner.
First point of contact has to be a successful one for XSET, no matter where it comes from. Cannot go into this break, retake attempt in a 3v4 in my mind. Especially with an operator in the hands of Pure. Two players through. FNS finds first blood. Pure get caught, and that's what you're worried about. BCJ has to make a special play happen as he goes to the toxic screen. He has found one kill so far. Needs to clear out the elbow. It's going to instead just dart cover. Toggle. See if he can maybe fade out, but he doesn't have the time here, not just to find the kills, let alone he needed time to defuse, and that will not come through. So 9-1 for Envy. It's been clean, it's been convincing, and once again, the economy starts to get a bit out of hand.
Well, I mean, you see the post-plant positioning there as well. Finesse getting the opening kill, but he was onto A range. See Weeded coming on through, looking for the trade. Can't quite find Finesse. And the rest of Envy there as well in the perfect positions. They smoke out Puro. And when I say smoke out, I mean in the figurative sense. As the real smoke does come on through from XSET. Only chance that BCJ has is to try and smoke and stick. Doesn't do so. Weeded dies as well. Would have to try and stick the defuse as Weeded cleans up a couple of kills and slows down the rest of the post-plant. Now as we head into round number 11, fast-paced tempo coming through from Envy straight onto A.
You need Pure to pop off right now with his Bladestorm. He's got to find value with this if there's going to be a hope that XSET can maybe exit this half with 3. Spike is going to be planted, you would think, very quickly here. Waiting to see if any extra utility will come in, and then they'll do a little bit of juggling to see who's going to grab it. So Crashies will put the spike down. That'll earn him the Seekers, and while this has all occurred, it's been a 2-for-1 exchange in favor of Envy. Seekers now being tossed out. The hit going to be trying to clear out the backside of screens. BCJ good for 1. Needs to get a second. Gets a couple of tags, but can't find the elimination. We go 3v3.
Sniper as well coming on through. Actually hits BCJ. So not ideal coming through from Weeded. Must have been a misfire. Stuck around out of time here as well. Now 2 versus 3 shift, and it's not going the way of XSET, is it?
BCJ whipping a handful of shots there just down to Weeded. He's already committed forward, so he's got to go for it. Gets the first kill, sees the shoulder of another, but Mummy will just back away, throws the right click out, and now time becoming a bit of a problem. Weeded's just going to play for exit kills, and it's not really going to make a difference. Envy's economy is already healthy enough to, even if both these players fall, they will be able to purchase back up, and how about it? Mummy still finds elimination onto Weeded. The spike will take care of the last two offensive members,
Last
but
round
going into the
before the
last round of the
switch.
half, Envy is all over XSET, not even close.
I mean, the best they did was full damage here. Spike kills everybody, all 10 are down, but the money is still up and alive for Envy big time. So, still not a great situation, obviously, for XSET. Look at the scoreline, 10-1, about to be 11-1. This is definitely a write-off for sure. I mean, we said that maybe about 6 rounds ago, and now, I mean, it's all but confirmed at this point. XSET are for sure going to be thinking about next map. Split is gone. I mean, for XSET anyway, you have to have assumed that this was going to be probably the tough map in the series for you. This isn't the one that you needed to win, though, if you are XSET. That's the only good news for them as we head towards the potential 11-1, and I'm fairly certain Envy will take that one. They have full guns here, plus the operator from Mummy, not that he needs it. BCJ with the only real rifle coming through for XSET, and it won't be enough.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's just one of those things that, again, I just keep looking back at this sheet I built, and 28% success rate on the offense, and it's going to have to be closer to 90 if XSET want to have a chance to even send us to what would likely have to be an overtime situation. Not feeling all that positive about how recent history has panned out that potential, but still an opportunity maybe to make it happen. Don't write them off just yet. They've surprised us in the past. This would, I think, take the cake, though, as one of the more surprising performances if they do try to manage to get their offense moving. But still, BCJ is about to come into full speed of contact. Here's all 5 Envy players. Paranoia will come out, Cyber Cage as well, just trying to keep this defense safe over towards A. But the problem is there is nobody up top, just a spy cam trying to see what exactly is going on an A tower. Caboose is going to commit to from the shadows, trying to block this rotation through the defensive spawn. And I don't think he's recognized that he's right in between 2 different sets of players. Well, now he has. He gets 1 kill. Food is able to grab 2 onto the site, and that will be enough for Caboose to try to play off a Paranoia. He does get shut down, but the spike gets blighted, and there's a 4v2 situation for Envy.
I was going to say maybe even Flawless coming on through as well, and you know they won't get the Flawless anymore. In fact, they're even challenging for the kills. They're so confident that they're going to win this round, despite giving a gun over towards Aaron and allowing Aaron to get 3 kills. And Envy say, screw it, we will chase them down in the first half in style here, Alan.
Well, we'll send things to a small halftime break, one that XSET will need to recollect themselves because it's going to have to be the most successful offense they've had on Split in their history as a squad. We'll find out how things unfold when we come back right after this.
Here.
Back into it we go here, Avril, into the second half. And, well, for XSET, again, the big task is, can they find a way to get their offense online? Because, candidly speaking, it has been their weaker half. That's been the big takeaway, I think, just looking at how things have gone between Challengers 1 and here again in Challengers 2.
It's not going to take a lot of rounds here as well. Again, 11-1. Massive lead coming through from Envy. It would really require XSET quite a bit of a miracle. I mean, they could extend to try and make this map take a bit longer, but already you're starting to see Envy, Food, Mummies, 3 kills coming on, and XSET are down to 2, now just 1. Weeded alone isn't going to get it done, and Envy pick up 12. And again, I think this is going to be a very quick split. 13-1 would be the expected scoreline. XSET are going to force because they have to, and Envy at the stage 13-1, 13-2, 13-3. I think it's not going to go any further than that, though. XSET will get something here, try and save a bit of face, but we are going to be thinking about the next map. XSET are definitely going to be thinking about the next map.
So, I mean, kind of getting outside of the micro of how this match has gone, I kind of just want to get your thoughts over this transition from Envy bringing Food down to the Rays. I won't say that at any point were we looking at Envy overall and saying that their split has gotten worse, but if anything, Food onto the Rays has definitely showcased that it definitely still has an opportunity to get better.
Well, this is important because, first of all, you get Food over towards a duelist, which is what he's been playing lately. And Envy have had a little bit of back and forth in terms of what their roles actually are as the round does proceed over here as expected as well. Just a bunch of kills coming through from Envy. Yeah, not even really worth covering here, I don't think, Alan, is you're just going to see the 13-11 or 13-1. I added an extra 1 there for XSET, which they're not going to get this round, are they? Or this entire map. And for Envy as well, moving Food off the stage, I think it's just allowed him to get a lot more work done. Similar to, I think, moving Aaron off maybe a Sentinel role back towards something they can work with. Aaron on a duelist would be even better. I would maybe suggest for XSET on their next split outing to maybe look towards what Envy have done this map as well. Aaron could also be playing the duelist, which he normally does play in a lot of different maps. That could just end up giving them a better split. But, across the board here, we did expect that split was going to be heavily favored for Envy. I just didn't think it was going to be 13-1 favored.
No, I think I'm just as surprised as you are when it comes to how that map came underway, because let's be honest, I mean, there really isn't a weak side for Envy on split, but that has by far been their best offensive look. And a lot of it, I would say, has come off of just a little bit of a, what is the best agent composition for this roster? Because there were times where it was weird to kind of see the Sky plus also the Sage in the mix, because the players that are playing in both those characters are largely who you look at to be very participatory in the kill department. And seeing Food now onto a Raze, I think we all kind of take a little bit of a relax the shoulders, deep breath. It feels more comfortable, feels like home a little bit to see him being able to have a performance like that. I mean, the very beginning of that first half, it was largely all Food. I mean, think of 3 straight rounds, he found 9 total eliminations. So when you have a performance like that, you don't really expect too many other results, I think, than what we saw there on that first offensive half for Envy.
Well, it's certainly bigger. I mean, if you harken back to the original split matchup between these two teams, Food ends at 13-11. Bottom scoring for this team, well, not bottom scoring, but bottom ACS for his team. I mean, you have Crashies, which has typically been the highest performing member on this Envy squad in the recent matches. He's been probably, what my belief is that Crashies is probably the most consistent member overall in terms of who I think is going to give you that solid performance every single map without failing. This time, Crashies takes a little bit more of a backseat, plays more of a supportive role. Definitely when you consider that Crashies is typically going to be the info player on the Cypher or the Sky, and Caboose shows up big time. Caboose has a massive map. He's, I think, top fragger at the end of the day for split. He has multiple 3K rounds in a row, I think back-to-back over in that first half as well. And just not a lot to show for here coming through from XSET. Just a lot of farming here, a lot of stat padding coming through from Envy. You see the disrespect coming through on the 12th round as well, where they just throw bodies at Aaron, gave him a 3K, but they win the round anyway, just through, pure force of numbers available. So for Envy, they're definitely going to be flexing on split. This is going to need to be the mental reset, though, as we move forward to the next map, where I think XSET, after the first half, after maybe even 8 or 9 rounds in, they realized how far behind they were. At that point, in their minds, not to say they're not trying anymore, but they knew they weren't favored on this map. They knew to win this series, they would have to be looking over towards Bind and Ascent.
Well, going to Bind coming up next. Again, we just went to a break, but unfortunately we'll have to step away just one more time. But we'll give you the full breakdown. Here's the big takeaway to ponder and marinate on while we step away. In the last 3 times that XSET has played Bind, every single one of those maps have gone to an overtime. So will we see that again? We'll find out, but we'll step away for a small break right here and come back after this.